They Told Us Not to Say This, by Jenn, Alandy, Trahan. The few white boys in our town could ball. Breakaway layups, nothing but the bottom of the net free throws, buzzer beater fadeaways. They slept with basketballs in their beds and told us about their dreams. We tried not to stare at the diamond studs in their ears as they talked about winning imaginary games in overtime or seeing blurry scoreboards. It don't matter if I can see the score anyway, I finna play my hardest regardless, Brent Zaleski said once, squinting his eyes in the sunlight. Brent Zaleski lived in the Crest. He didn't flinch at the sound of gunshots. He received attentions weekly, and he ganked tapes and CDs from warehouse with the clunky security devices still attached. Brent Zaleski knew how to get them off, armed only with pliers and a Bic lighter. This was 1996, and he never got caught. He took music requests, and we'd find surprises in our lockers at school. We loved him for this. We loved his buzz blonde hair, his stainless steel chain necklace, his jawline, his position. Brent Zaleski played point guard. All the boys on the team respected him. They called him Z. When the boys got their basketball photos from Life Touch, we collected them like baseball cards and kept them in hole-punch plastic sleeves in our day planners. Each year, Z's wallet-sized basketball pics slid into the front of our collections. Freshman year, he simply signed his name on the bag. Peace, Brent. Junior year, he wrote more words on the one he gave Rory Balancio. Sup, Rory? I think you're hella fine. Peace, Brent. Back then, there were 2 movie theaters in town, and he took her to the one that didn't smell like Black Miles and piss. Rory said he drove up with a cigarette tucked behind his right ear, but he didn't light it until after he dropped her off at home. She saw the small spark hanging outside his car window because he had waited until she unlocked the front door. Rory couldn't help but look back and wave before she walked inside. Earlier during the movie, Brent Zaleski had better popcorn. She said it was like he knew exactly how much she needed and when she needed more in her mouth. We could only imagine what it felt like to have his fingers so close to our open lips. Our parents said no boyfriends until we were 30. They didn't talk to our brothers like this because they wanted to bend down and kiss all of their titis every day. Sons got brand new Honda Preludes on their 16th birthdays. Our moms took wannabe directors to Circuit City and bought camcorders that ended up in corners collecting dust. Wannabe rock stars got Fender Stratocasters, and we felt like those street performers in the city who stand on overturned milk crates and hope for quarters in an open guitar case. Still, we sang a cappella by our lockers on breaks. We wanted to be En Vogue, Escape, TLC, SWV. Anytime Brent Zaleski walked by, we got so weak in the knees we could hardly speak, you know? We wondered if we'd still know him when we turned 18, all of us, desperate for him in our cotillions. Rosa Manalo's mom said throwing a cotillion would be a waste of money, but she also bought a big-ass Louis Vuitton hobo and filed a police report like it was a missing person when it got stolen from her shopping cart at the canned food grocery outlet. I had never seen her cry so hard before, Rosa's told us. Not even when she thought someone kidnapped me at service merchandise. We weren't worth much. Not as much as sons. Sons never fucked up. Sons never had to pay rent. Rory's brother got a girl prego when he was 18, and they mooched off her parents for years. His babies are good luck, her mother said, excited about becoming a Lola. But vacuuming at night was bad luck. Cutting nails at night was bad luck. Buying someone shoes was bad luck. If you give shoes as a gift, that person will walk out of your life forever. Moles, the color red, aquariums, all good luck. If something bad is going to happen to you in the house, the goldfish will absorb it. We're not sure why we listened to women who pinched our noses in the kitchen when we were kids, because we'd be so maganda if only our noses weren't so flat and our skin wasn't so dark. the complexion of the poor people who work in the province. We envied Leonie Benitez because her mother was dead. Still, it was ingrained in us all to listen to our elders without question, to read their minds, to fetch things they pointed at with their chins. We barely knew our lolas and lolos, but every time we saw them, no matter how old we were, we reflexively reached out for the backs of their wrinkled hands to touch to our foreheads in greeting. Bless, bless, they would say. For all we know, they could have been assholes when they were younger, but it didn't matter. They had white hair now. We had to obey them, no questions asked. Jason Lagundi showed up in a limo to take Rosal to prom, and then her mom grounded her. She wouldn't have done that if it had been a white boy from Black Hawk, the kind who grew up to rock Brooks Brothers or Nantucket Reds from Murray's Pottery Shop, the kind who never liked working or practice because he never had to. Didn't you know he was the kind who deserved everything? The kind who'd marry you only if you looked good on paper. The kind who apologized for sweating while he made love to you. The kind who still wouldn't eat you out after getting his lid busted in a fight because, well, he'd never thrown a punch in his life. These boys lived across the Benicia Martinez Bridge and then some, far enough away to look better even though they sagged their pants and wore backwards caps. They thought they could wear Vallejo, like it was a high school phase. They'd wear it and take it off when it was time to grow up. When you grow up, you should be a doctor. Do you know your lawyer was a doctor in the Philippines? When you grow up, you should be a lawyer. You can make a lot of money and buy a big house. Did you know I had a big house in Quezon City? It was always about the house. Leonie Benitez lived in an apartment and they talked about it like it was a shame. Anyone with a 4-bedroom in Glen Cove was automatically a good person. They shook their heads when we told them where Brent Zaleski lived. He's not going to go anywhere, our mothers said. Our Lolas echoed them with, what? You think he's going to grow up to be a professional player, like on the TV? We didn't have an answer for that. What we knew was that Brent Zaleski played like it mattered. Real game or scrimmage, there was no difference. What we knew was that Brent Zaleski wasn't afraid to fight for his team, for our school, for us. What we knew was that he liked reading about all kinds of professional athletes for inspiration. He would talk to us about real-life things in the hallway. Did you know Wayne Gretzky used to eat dinner with his skates on when he was a kid? Did you know Roberto Clemente used to stay late after practice and do one-hop throws into an overturned trash can at home plate over and over again because it was the hardest throw to make from his position? To Brent Zaleski, there was never a point where great athletes stopped working at being great. No buzzers, no finish lines. They couldn't rely on luck. They were always playing the game, working harder, trying to be better. We try to relay this to our parents. To them, it didn't matter that Brent Zaleski threw his heart out on the court for his teams night after night during the season. They couldn't admire how he made fast decisions, how he casually threw up fingers to call a play as he dribbled past the half-court line, how his teammates leaned closer to him during a timeout, how he lifted off the floor in the paint and floated in midair. It didn't matter that he weaved and shot and fought for wins in a good-for-nothing gym in front of people like us. In the middle of junior year, Brent Zaleski started dating Marori. We covered for her and never told our parents where she really was. After dinner one night, he pulled her into his bedroom by curling one finger around a belt loop on her jeans. There was more desire in that move than anything I've ever felt in my whole life, she still insists. He had one chick poster in his room, just one, mixed in with his favorite athletes. Marori was expecting to see a blonde. Her mother had a pedestal for a coworker named Virginia. My blonde friend Virginia. Virginia and I had lunch today. Did you know that she's white? But Jocelyn's hair was dark like ours, only highlighted in ways we weren't allowed to think about. Some of us straight up had mustaches, but our mothers never said anything, as if the longer we stayed furry, the longer they could keep the leashes on. Don't wear lipstick, our mother said. Lipstick will make your lips turn brown, and you don't want them to be brown. This girl on the poster, she didn't have a mustache. Who's Jocelyn Enriquez? Marori asked. You don't know who this is? Marori shook her head. She half expected him to talk about how Jocelyn Enriquez looked because that was the routine. When we wore flannel shirts from Choice, our mother said we looked like farmers. When we stood up straight, they didn't like that we looked taller than them. We were too skinny, too fat, our hair too long, our hair too short. Gain 10 more pounds. They'd force feed us bowls of mashed potatoes and butter and sigh when the scales never changed. Cut your hair. None of us were just right. And when we did crave arroscado from Goldilocks, our parents took us to Red Lobster or Olive Garden instead. But Rory was still looking at Jocelyn Enriquez when Brent Zaleski pulled a pair of headphones from underneath the pillow. He carefully placed them over Marori's ears, picked her up, and put her on the bed. These were the days of Walkmans, blank cassette tapes, and running to the radio to push record. These were the days of working for what you wanted. No quick downloads, no Insta anything. We asked her if they hooked up that night. No, she said. We just listened to Jocelyn Enriquez music. He was surprised I didn't know who she was. That same spring, we started to find Jocelyn Enriquez tapes and CDs in our lockers at school. We knew they were from him. Then Candace Quijano discovered that Jocelyn graduated from Pinot Valley High School, just 10 miles away from us. And we got hella excited when we learned that Jocelyn was a member of the San Francisco Girls Chorus and had a recording contract by the time she was 16. Roberto Clemente was from Puerto Rico. Wayne Gretzky, Canada. And here was Jocelyn, who grew up so close to home. We listened to her voice in our bedrooms at night and turned the volume up a little when we heard a track in Tagalog. Our parents were ashamed of the language even though they spoke it. We used to joke that they didn't teach us as kids because they didn't want us to grow up to have accents like theirs. I don't have an accent. English was the medium of instruction in the Philippines. But when we listened to that Jocelyn Enriquez song in Tagalog, it sounded beautiful. At the end of the chorus were the words, Mahal kita. We recognized this because of Brent Zaleski. He had written those two words at the bottom of a note in Marori's day planner. What does that mean? We asked her. It means I love you, she said. When we were in our beds that night, we thought about how strange it was, how we never heard our mothers and fathers say those words to us before. Mahal kita. When Marori tried out for varsity, we joined her even though our parents said it was dangerous. They didn't want us doing anything outside of the house. We didn't think we could be any safer staying inside and listening to our mothers criticize us. You're going to get hurt, they warned us. We want to get hurt, we said. Brent Zaleski came to all of our home games. We played for him. At the free throw line, we slid our palms on the bottom of our sneakers before taking the basketball from the ref. Our palms got dirty quick, but it made the ball feel secure in our hands. We bent at the knees and learned how to hunger for that sound, those flicks at the bottom of the net. In practice after school, we did suicides until we felt like puking. We did them in our driveways at night, too. Somehow in practice, we started to talk like the boys. When someone would miss a pass, we'd say, "Where you at, player?" When someone shot an air ball, we put a fist to our mouths and boo like boys. It wasn't long before we started to spit into our palms as we lined up to slap hands against opposing teams post-game. Hey, good game, good game, good game. We'd all say. Sometimes we couldn't hold in the laughs until the line was done. We blasted music in the gym during warm-ups before home games. Coach let us turn up the music so loud that we could feel the beat on the floor, could feel it in our bodies, our hearts. Who cared that the Bulls dominated back then and that the Dubs were shit? On the court, we felt proud. During games, we took hits and threw elbows like champs. Who cared about girls from Napa who put their fingers in our faces and timed their pre-game team chant with ours so you couldn't hear our voices? Who cared that we would grow up to have all kinds of girls interrupt us, correct us, cut us, talk over us, throw shrimp cocktail at us? Could we blame them? We were brown like their nannies. Brown like the big-eyed dirty kids in those Save the Children commercials. Brown like hotel housekeepers. Brown like nurses who wipe asses. And brown like those Miss Universe runner-ups who said things like, "You know what, sir? In my 22 years of existence, I can say that there is nothing problem that I've done in my life. Because I'm very confident in my family with the love that they are giving to me. So, thank you so much that I'm on stage. Thank you so much." We were brown like their daddy's secretaries. Brown like the women their daddies beat off to and sometimes left the family for. Brown like, "We love you long time." Brown like, "I need to apologize for offending you." Brown like, "May I take your plate?" Brown like, "You think I need your charity?" And brown like, "How can I help you, sir?" Back then, we helped ourselves. We dove out of bounds. We broke bones. We didn't care about sweat-slicked ponytails, didn't care about the skinned knees or bruises or scars, didn't bother with bandages in the mornings before school. We got hard. All the marks on our faces and bodies said, "So what? I'm still here."